Welcome back to the E36 build series. The plan for this episode was to strip down and rebuild the original power steering rack. I started tearing it apart, but pretty quickly it became clear that this rack just was not worth saving. The shaft is badly pitted, so a rebuild would never last. I sped through about 2 hours of teardown footage here to save you watching me dismantle a rack that's ultimately going to go in the bin. So instead, I picked up a purple tag steering rack, which is not great for these cars, and that's what we're going to be installing in the car today. So I got everything cleaned up, and I cleaned up this shaft as best I could, but unfortunately the pitting on the shaft is just too bad. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it in the camera, but I run my nail along the kind of polished surface here, no noise, and then the pitted section. And the problem is this needs to be a highly polished surface because this shaft runs through the seal on the inside of this part, and with that rougher surface, as it goes back and forth, it's just going to wear away and chew up the inside of the seal. And even if I rebuild it, it's just going to start leaking again soon in the future. So unfortunately, there's no point in rebuilding this shaft or this power steering rack at all. I'm going to have to source another rack. And at this stage, I think I might as well do the purple tag steering rack upgrade, so I'll have to wait and do that. And yes, this is exactly how it looked when it was delivered to my house. If you're enjoying the E36 rebuild series and want to see the car finally back on the road, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the first test drive. So this is a purple rack from an E46 330i, and one thing I did notice straight away is that it is missing one of the power steering lines that come out. So hopefully these are a straight drop from the E36. And the only other thing is, apart from really needing a clean and some new boots, I'll take this open, I'll take this out, and hopefully there's not too much pitting. This side doesn't make too much of a difference, but similar to our last one, oh, this is open, look at it now. Yeah, that is how this surface should look, completely smooth. So that's good, at least this one's hopefully not going to leak. So according to all the forums, the inner tie rod can stay as it is, but you need to change the outer tie rod for an E36 tie rod. Nowhere does it say that you can use an E36 inner and outer, and I don't know why. In my mind it makes perfect sense that as long as the rack's the same length and the thread's the same with the inner tie rod, why not use E36 inners and outers? So I'm gonna go get the old rack, the actual pinion from the rack, this inside part here. Make sure it's the same length. If it is the same length, I'm just going to take these boots off, and I'm going to take the inners and outers off from this E46 and put the E36 inners and outers on. If this is a different length, maybe that's why you have to use these E46 inners, but we'll start taking it apart and we'll see. These boots are completely split, so I'm just going to cut them off so you can see what we're looking at a bit better. This side, you can see the boot's been split for a while. There is some pitting going on in this. But here never actually goes through a seal. This all just needs greased and a new boot put on. But this side immediately passes through a seal on this side, so I'll be interested to see what it looks like. This boot has no tires on, so hopefully there was no leak. I'm just going to slide it down. And yeah, this all looks very good. Let me actually take these off so I can grab the camera, and I will show you what this actually looks like on the pinion. It's completely smooth, highly polished surface. Because with that pitting and scoring we had, every time I'd rub past the seal right in here, it would just wear away at that seal every time you turned, and eventually it would start leaking again. Okay, so I've done some googling, and the E46 inner tie rods have a different thread pitch and thread size than the E36 inners. So we're going to have to take the outers off these and replace them for this rack. This looks like quite a rusted nut, so hopefully this comes off okay. And this side actually looks quite good, but we'll heat these up, get these outers off, put the new outers on. And the only other problem is I had bought boots for E36, which is both a different diameter at each side. This should stretch over no problem, but we'll have to transfer these rubber mounts over. And I think These are the same OD. I'll just double check the measurements, but I think we can transfer this off this inner and put it directly onto this inner. And this side slightly smaller, but it should stretch okay to get over this. Just going to try without heat first, see if it wants to move, and if not, I'll heat it with the torch. No, that's going to need some heat. I'm just counting the rotations as I get this off. It's 1. "21 turns. This is just to start you off, somewhere close to where you need to be. Before we put this on, I'm going to see if I can take this collar, this nut, and this rubber mount off and transfer it to this. I might just have to leave this to cool down. 18 for the other side. There we go. So now finally we can get our E36 outer tie rod on. We just have to put the new nut and the new collar on first. Okay, I'm just gonna tighten that real gently at the minute because I know we'll be adjusting it as soon as we're back in the car. That is the other side complete. Just before I complete this, I'm actually just going to run and get rack grease so I can just finally put these on. I didn't get clips. I might just cable tie these in place for the time being because I'm going to want to take them off after I use it for a bit to make sure they're not leaking inside here. Because again, second-hand rack, didn't rebuild it, bought it off eBay, so hopefully it's not, but we'll see. So yeah, run and get rack grease. I will grease the rack and then button this up, get it finished, and then the only thing left to do after that is to switch these lines over. These lines are from the E36. They're not going to route to the same place as our car, so we'll take the lines from our old rack and put it onto this rack, and then it's ready to install back in the car. Wasn't able to get clips, but I am back with grease. So this side we're just going to apply some around the inner tie rod, and there's no real need for anything this side. No tiny layer there I have, because this full bit goes in to the power steering fluid through a seal right here. So that is this side done. Put this up, tie that. The other side is where the grease is a lot more important. I'm just going to clean some of this old grease out and then re-grease it. Nice lump of grease. Cycle this through. This rack only came with one line attached, so we'll remove it, and then there's the banjo bolt for the line left in. We'll remove it too. Okay, so our old E36 hard lines. I'm going to put everything together loosely first, make sure these fit. So this will go back into what we just took out. The other line that I can't remember how it goes at all. I have no memory of how this went. I know it's definitely this side, I just can't picture if it goes this direction or has to be this direction. I can't remember what angle this goes in on, so I'm just going to put the steering rack in the car and then put this in place. Okay, so that is the steering rack ready to go back into the car. The only thing left to do, again, is to, obviously we'll need a bit of alignment once we get it in. We get it in, we bleed it, we find out where this line goes in. Hopefully I remember, or maybe it looks a lot more obvious when it's on the car. And we can go from there. Only problem is it's going to be a nightmare to film now because it's actually, like I said, there's a storm in Ireland right now. And it's extremely windy and just stopped raining, so I might run and try and get this done now as quick as I can. You can probably hear how windy it is, but I have just roughly sat the rack in place and I have put one of the bolts in on the far side, the passenger side, just to hold it in place. That way I can lift this side and slide it back and forth and the whole thing's not going to fall on me. And now we just have to get this steering rack coupler back on to the steering rack itself. Okay, I got it to go in after a lot of back and forth. Turns out that first bolt I put in, if you be able to see it, but right here, was actually stopping me getting just the right angle to actually get this in. So as soon as I get it out, it slid directly in. So now I just need to go find wherever that bolt is, and then we can finish putting the steering rack back together. Okay, now adjust the two bolts to actually hold the steering rack in. Okay, that took twice as long as it should have. Basically, I didn't have this all the way in, which was stopping me. Sorry, nightmare to film here. Getting these bolts fully aligned. After trying to get them in for 5 minutes, I realised it was up here that was stopping us. So, screwdriver back in and push this up further. These are almost touching. Now everything's in, we'll go grab that other hard line and we'll get it in place. After that's done, we can attach our two outer tie rods to our hubs and then connect all the lines up and let's bleed the system. Yeah, so that line ran from the pump here, back behind the subframe, back around the subframe and then into the top of the steering rack from there. So have that in place, and I reconnected the line that goes up to the power steering reservoir. So now we just have to come up top. I've took the air box out and I'm going to start filling the power steering reservoir in here. Alright, now all that's left to do is cycle the steering rack a couple of times to get all the air bubbles out, and with that, the purple tag steering rack is fully installed and everything is back in place. If you haven't seen the earlier part of this build, go back and check out the previous videos in the E36 build series to see how we got to this point. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and in the next episode we'll be replacing the radiator, thermostat, coolant and oil as we get the car ready for the first test drive.